I know we're talking about Boise State here, but I still feel bad for West Virginia. That schedule, Kansas, Oklahoma State on the road, Iowa State, Kansas State at Arizona. What is this? What is this? I don't know. But what is this is probably what some of you thought, myself included, when Boise State named Maddux Madsen the starting quarterback. So he beats out a former top 5 quarterback in the class of 2023 and USC commit Malachi Nelson, who transferred there this offseason. I thought he was going to be the starter. Now, to people in Boise, perhaps it is not as surprising. Perhaps those who have watched the quarterback battle, media members that cover the team or coaches or players, whoever, they're not surprised that Madsen has been named the starting quarterback. I'm just telling you from where I'm sitting, this was a surprise. And I know I'm not the only media member that feels this way, because I texted a couple people I know and said, "Did you see that?" And they had the same reaction I did. Like, really? Wow. Now, you can interpret this one of two ways. Something is wrong with Malachi Nelson, and he's never going to be the highly touted prospect that he's capable of with the physical traits that he has and that everybody saw when he was being evaluated as a recruit coming out of high school. Or number two, you could see this as, hey, this Maddux Madsen guy, if he's beating out Malachi Nelson, well, he must be quite good. Remember, Dirk Cutter is back as the offensive coordinator. He was not there last year. He was in 2022, but he's back as the offensive coordinator, has a pretty solid track record in that particular role. Spencer Danielson was the interim, takes over as the head coach, and he's looking for stability at the quarterback position because over the final stretch of the season, didn't have that all the time, particularly in the bowl game when adjustments had to be made when they played UCLA. If they'd had a good quarterback situation, would they have won? Maybe. They were winning that game early on, but that matters not now. So Maddux Madsen last year in 9 appearances completed 61% of his passes, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He does not in his career have a game in which he has thrown for 300 or more yards. I just paused to let that kind of marinate for a moment, let you think about, well, why would they go with this sort of guy? Keep in mind, he's still thrown a lot more passes in his college career than Malachi Nelson. That's number one. And number two, do you think this was an inside job? Do you think the coaching staff had it out for Malachi Nelson? You think they went and got somebody like that in the transfer portal because they thought, yeah, let's bring him in as a backup quarterback? No, I think they brought him in to compete for the starting job, and Maddux Madsen just beat him out. So he's going to have a team around him that, according to S&P Plus, is a top 50 unit in all of college football roster-wise, and S&P Plus measures a variety of things, recent recruiting rankings and returning production. Those are the most important metrics that it looks at, but there are others as well. And I was surprised to see this, but then I thought, well, maybe Malachi Nelson just isn't what we thought he could be, or maybe Maddux Madsen is something nobody thought he could be. He did not have a 24/7 composite rating. His 24/7 rating was a 3-star guy coming out of high school. He was outside the top 100 at his position. But there's a lot more to quarterback than being big and throwing the ball really far. Just ask, I don't know, Jamarcus Russell, for instance, is a name that comes to mind. I'm really interested to see how this plays out because Boise State, if they get good enough quarterback play, can go 10-2. That's the record that I predicted for them here on this show. I'm not wavering off of that prediction until I see Maddux Madsen play. Because if he beat out Malachi Nelson, I thought Malachi was going to be the starter. That was just my assumption. But if Madsen beat him out, I think it is more likely that the coaching staff saw something in him that Nelson was not able to bring to the table and that they feel is going to be a great benefit to the offense. So fascinated to see how this works out. He doesn't have huge numbers in his career yet, but we'll see what he does as a full-time starter. He's got a great running back, should have a good receiving core, and they should have the best roster in the Mountain West. So, more than a little interested to see if Maddux Madsen is the quarterback of a college football playoff team in 2024. That could happen. Speaking of quarterback battles, a couple other notes that I might dive into more later in the week, but seeing as this is a college football show, This was flying all around the interwebs. Sam Leavitt is named the starter at Arizona State. No surprise there. Danny O'Neal, the starter at San Diego State. Don't think that's a major surprise. Year one for Sean Lewis. You don't have a bunch of big expectations. Go develop a young quarterback. Get him ready for next season. I like that move. Sam Leavitt at Arizona State, by the way. That guy was not some slouch recruit coming out of high school. Go look at his recruiting profile. He's a pretty solidly rated 4-star guy. So if Kenny Dillingham and company can get it to work, we'll see. We'll see if Arizona State's a bowl team this year. DeQuan Finn named the starting quarterback at Baylor. I don't know. Again, you know how excited I am for the season to answer all these questions? Think about that. Of those guys, plus Malik Murphy at Duke, named the starter. Miller Moss at USC, not surprising. Will Howard at Ohio State. I never thought they were going to get off of Will Howard, but it was certainly a longer process to name the starting quarterback up there in Columbus than I thought it was. But think about these names and all the quarterbacks that I've read to you here that have been named the starters going into week one. Maddux Madsen at Boise State, DeQuan Finn at Baylor, or Will Howard at Ohio State, or I'll throw Miller Moss at USC into that mix as well. Which of those guys has the greatest impact on his team? Because you can look at these angles from a number of different sides. Miller Moss at USC, does he continue the great line of USC quarterbacks? I suspect that he does, not because of one game, but because of who his coach is and what his weapons are. If he does that and the defense takes any step forward, is that an 8-9 win team rather than a 6-7 win team? Probably. Could they even be a 10-win team? Their schedule might not let them do that, but I do have them at 9-3, 10-2 not out of the realm of possibility. Will Howard, is he going to be a starting quarterback for a Big Ten champion team? For a national champion team? That could be a big impact. Will DeQuan Finn at Baylor be a guy that saves Dave Aranda's job? Because he is on a scorching hot seat going into this season. And then the guy I started this segment with, Maddux Madsen at Boise State. Is he the quarterback of the first ever Group of 5 automatic berth into the college football playoff? In 4 days' time, we will have a handful of college football games that we'll all be able to watch. College game day will be on our televisions this Saturday morning. I cannot overstate my excitement for college football to be here. But those are legitimate questions. But think about those guys, all named starting quarterbacks this week, and in different ways can shape their team's college football seasons in a rather significant way. Thanks for making this your first listen or first view of the day. For your second, go check out Locked On Sports Today. Peter Bukowski hosts over there with, you guessed it, the biggest stories in sports all across the sportsverse. A word that I just made up. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. And until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.